have a quorum. All right, we appreciate the presentations of both of these companies, Billy Casper Management. Josh, that was excellent. The company promised last year to keep us informed on a regular basis. You are doing this, and that's what we're looking forward to. And it sounds like you have a lot of great ideas and appreciate what you've already been able to implement. We look forward to your future reporting to us. Now, with Mark, your presentation was excellent. We need to act on that at this time now. And what the motion that I'm looking for would be to accept the self-funding plan as outlined for employees using Blue Cross Blue Shield. Is that the correct wording of this? All right. Does someone want to make that in the form of a motion?
Move for approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Please vote your preference when the name is called.
Mason.
Aye.
Ellis.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Carneal.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Snyder.
Aye.
Passed 7-0.
All right, thank you very much. And now we're at the bottom of that first page. If you're looking at your agendas, we have had 1.3 and 3.1, so we're a little ahead of the game that way. And we're ready now to approve the minutes of the last meeting, which was held on October 15th. No roll call on that. Is there someone would like to move that?
So moved.
All right, is there a second on the minutes? Any discussion? Hearing none, those in favor of the approval of the minutes, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, no. So ordered. And now we are ready for the legislative agenda. 2.1 is a third reading regarding ordinance 13-13. This rescinds an ordinance in its entirety and amends Title 18 of our code entitled Water and Wastewater and puts a new Chapter 3 in its entirety regarding sewage disposal. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion now? This is third and final reading. Please call the roll.
Head.
Yes.
Carneal.
Aye.
Snyder.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Ellis.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Passed 7-0.
Okay. 2.2 is ordinance 13-17. This also is the third and final reading. This amends Title 8 of the Municipal Code entitled Alcoholic Beverages by amending Chapter 1 entitled Intoxicating Liquors by rescinding Section 8-119 entitled Regulations for Purchase and Sale of Intoxicating Liquors in its entirety, substituting a new Section 8-119. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Discussion. Hearing none, please call the roll.
Ellis.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Snyder.
Aye.
Carneal.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Passed 7-0.
Thank you. 2.3. This ordinance, 13-19, is in its second reading. This would amend the fiscal year 2014 annual budget for the city by amending certain general fund and utility fund budgets. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Please call the roll.
Carneal.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Sneed.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Schneider.
Aye.
Ellis.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Passed 7-0.
Okay, 2.4, this also is a second reading, and this is in regard to ordinance 13-20, would rezone the roughly 17 and a quarter acres of property on US 41 North from restricted industrial to commercial services. Is there a motion?
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
Mr. Nutty.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, on this ordinance and the other three ordinances, they have been prepared with some minor amendments that George has reviewed them. You know, there are legal descriptions involved in this. So he's made some minor changes in all of these, so it might be helpful to make an amendment to accept the amendments as presented and then vote on the ordinance.
Now, you speaking of on 13-20?
And well, when we get to 21 and 22, they'll all have small changes in them from the first reading. And it deals with the legal descriptions.
Okay. Now, we have a motion on the floor now to consider this one. And so you're seeking an amendment. On each one, we're going to amend. Is that what we're saying?
Well, yeah, you just have to say that, for example, on 1320, that to recognize that there are amendments included in that and to vote to accept those amendments.
Mayor, make a motion to amend as a planning department as proposed in the ordinance. What was it?
1320.
20, 21, 22. You give all this one.
1320. You're going to take each
13.
one. You have to do the same
There it
thing.
is.
All right, we're going to vote on the amendment. Is there a second to that
second.
amendment? All right, any discussion of the amendment? Call the roll, please, on the amendment.
Mason.
Aye.
Ellis.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Carnell. Hubbard.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Snyder.
Aye.
Passed 7-0.
Back now on the main motion. Any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Snyder.
Aye.
Carnell.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Ellis. Mason.
Aye.
Passed 7-0.
All right, now similarly, we're on now 1321 on second reading. This is the 4.31 acre tract at 2504 Memorial. Is there a motion this be approved?
A motion to amend 1321.
Second.
All right. We've got a second. Any discussion on the amendment? Please call the roll on the amendment.
Snyder.
Aye.
Carnell.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Ellis. Mason.
Aye.
Passed 7-0.
Now, on the main motion of 1321, I don't think one was actually made.
No, sir.
So I'm looking for a motion.
So moved.
And
Second.
a second. All right, any discussion? Please call the roll.
Head.
Yes.
Carnell. Snyder.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Ellis.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Passed 7-0.
Thank you. Now we're ready for 1322. You got a similar thing on that one, too. Let's go on and do the motion. Let's go on and make the motion on the thing and then amend it.
Move to approve.
Second.
All right, and a seconded. Now let's do the amendment.
Move to amend ordinance 1322 as planning commission has a suggestion.
Is there a second to Mr. Sneed's amendment?
Second.
Any discussion on the amendment? Please call the roll on the amendment.
Carnell. Head.
Abstain.
Sneed.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Snyder.
Aye.
Ellis.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Passed 6-0 and 1 abstain.
All right, now we're on the main motion on 1322. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Ellis.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Snyder.
Aye.
Carnell.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Head.
Abstain.
Passed 6-0 and 1 abstain.
Okay. Let me point out to the audience that when you see us going through this and not any discussion on this, this has come to us from planning and zoning, it's been approved and recommended. We've held a public hearing on these and no comment, so that's the reason this moves through in fairly rapid order. Now we've got an item pertaining to proposed animal care and control policies and procedures. Mr. Nutting, do you want to make a comment about this, and then we'll see what we need to do?
Well, Mayor, on this particular item, I believe at the last meeting, Chief Thompson had prepared a written set of policies for animal care and control. We really never had a thorough set of written policies for that division of the police department. And I hope you've had some time in the month gone by since then to review those policies. I recommend approval of the policies. Chief Thompson will be glad to answer any questions related to the policies.
So you're just ready to have these approved, is what we, okay.
Righty.
Let's ask the chief if there are any questions that you might have pertaining to this first. Anyone have a question? All right. Is there a motion that these proposed changes and these proposed policies be placed in effect?
Move to approve and put them in effect.
Is there a second?
Second.
Now, is there any discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Hubbard,
Aye.
Snyder,
Aye.
Carneal,
Aye.
Sneed,
Aye.
Head,
Yes.
Ellis, Mason.
Aye.
Pass 7-0.
All right. Thank you very much. Now, we've got four First Amendments coming up, first readings coming up on items 2.8, 9, 10, and 11. Our policy requires that those have to be read in their entirety by the city clerk. So, Ms. Connie, will you read the proposed ordinance 13-23?
Ordinance 13-23, an ordinance amending Title 10 of the Springfield Municipal Code entitled Animal Control by rescinding Chapter 1 entitled In General in its entirety and substituting a new Chapter 1 to read as set forth in Exhibit A attached. Rescinding Chapter 2 entitled Dogs and Cats in its entirety and substituting a new Chapter 2 to read as set forth in Exhibit A, Exhibit B attached, and changing the heading of the Title 10 to read Animal Care and Control. Whereas it has been necessary to update and amend Title 10 of the Springfield Municipal Code entitled Animal Control in order to make changes in city policies and procedures. Now therefore be it ordained by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen of Springfield, Tennessee as follows. Section 1. Title 10 of the Springfield Municipal Code is hereby amended by rescinding Chapter 1 entitled In General in its entirety and substituting a new Chapter 1 to read as set forth in Exhibit A attached. Section 2. Title 10 of the Springfield Municipal Code, entitled Animal Control, is hereby amended by rescinding Chapter 2, entitled Dogs and Cats, in its entirety, and substituting a new Chapter 2 to read as set forth in Exhibit B attached. Section 3. The heading of Title 10 of the Springfield Municipal Code is hereby changed from Animal Control to Animal Care and Control. Section 4. All ordinances, resolutions, and policies in conflict herewith are hereby rescinded to the extent of the conflict only.
Thank you, Ms. Connie. Now, a motion that ordinance 13-23 be approved on first reading.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion on this matter? Please call the roll.
Mason.
Aye.
Ellis.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Carneal.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Snyder.
Aye.
Pass 7-0.
All right. 2.9 is ordinance 13-24. This is related to the schedule of fees for animal care and control. Ms. Connie will read that proposed ordinance 13-24.
Ordinance 13-24, an ordinance establishing a new schedule of fees for animal care and control services as set forth in Exhibit A attached. Whereas the City of Springfield animal care and control policies and procedures have been updated, and whereas the changes to the policies and procedures will also necessitate a change in the fee of schedule for animal care and control services, and whereas Article 4, Section 13 of the Charter of the City of Springfield requires that fixing of fees and charges be accomplished through legislative action, which must be exercised by ordinance. And now therefore be it ordained by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen of Springfield, Tennessee as follows. Section 1. A new schedule of fees for animal care and control services as set forth in Exhibit A attached is hereby adopted. Section 2. All ordinances, resolutions, and policies in conflict herewith are hereby rescinded to the extent of the conflict only.
All right. Is there a motion on ordinance 13-24?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Now, any discussion? Mr. Nutty.
Mayor, I'd just like to point out that the one-time impoundment fee and the boarding fee per day are going to remain the same. We simply took them out of the code, so that every time we change that fee, we don't have to codify again, and that takes about a year to get all of that done. Now, this is going to be a different approach to adoption. They are going to pay a much higher fee. They're going to pay adoption fee for a dog of $90, adoption fee of a cat of $85, and we are going to make sure that the animals are spayed and neutered and receive all their shots before we release the animals. Chief, anything else?
No, those are the highlights. What's been happening in the past is there's a lower adoption fee. They put up a deposit. They promise they're going to have the spay and the neuter, have those things done. They don't do it. They never come back. They never get the deposit back. And basically, we're really not getting where we want to go with that. All we're doing here is they're having to pay it up front. We've negotiated with some of the local veterinary services. We found what I think is the best deal we're going to find. So we're trying to keep the cost as reasonable as we possibly can. But when they get the animal, it will be spayed or neutered, inoculated, and ready to go before we release it to the adoptive parents.
Sounds good. Any further discussion then? Questions? All right, please, we have a motion.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Please call the roll.
Snyder?
Aye.
Carneal?
Aye.
Hubbard?
Aye.
Sneed?
Aye.
Head?
Yes.
Ellis? Mason?
Aye.
Pass 7-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Point 10 is a first reading on ordinance 13-25. This has to do for the plan of services regarding the annexation and so forth on the property for the proposed elementary school. Ms. Connie?
Ordinance 13-25, an ordinance annexing property of Robertson County on behalf of the Robertson County School Board and adjacent property of the Batson family, consisting of 19.86 acres on Batson Parkway, and adopting a plan of services for the property. Whereas a plan of services, Exhibit A attached, has been prepared for the Robertson County property on behalf of the Robertson County School Board and adjacent roadway property, 19.86 acres located on WA Batson Parkway. And whereas a survey and legal description of the property has been prepared by Stephen E. Arts and Associates Incorporated and is included as Exhibit B attached. And whereas the Planning Commission has reviewed the annexation and plan of services and has recommended them for adoption. Whereas the public hearing on the annexation and plan of services will be held by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen at its November 19, 2013 meeting. Now therefore be it ordained by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen of Springfield, Tennessee, that the plan of services for the Robertson County property on behalf of the Robertson County School Board and adjacent roadway property owned by Gene and Billy Batson, as set forth in Exhibit A attached, consisting of 19.86 acres located on WA Batson Parkway and described in a survey by Stephen E. Arts and Associates as set forth in Exhibit E attached, is hereby annexed and the plan of service adopted.
All right, is there a motion that 13-25 be approved?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? Please call the roll.
Head.
Yes.
Carneal.
Aye.
Snyder.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Ellis. Sneed.
Aye.
Pass 7-0.
Thank you. 211 is regarding ordinance 13-26. This is the ordinance which would amend the schedule of fees and charges for play at the Legacy. Ms. Connie?
Ordinance 13-26, an ordinance amending the schedule of fees and charges for play at the Legacy Golf Course by rescinding ordinance 12-12 in its entirety and substituting a new schedule of fees attached hereto as Exhibit A. Whereas Article 4, Section 13 of the Charter of the City of Springfield requires that fixing of fees and charges be accomplished through legislative action, which must be exercised by ordinance. And whereas the schedule of fees and charges for play at the Legacy Golf Course was approved by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen through adoption of Ordinance 12-12, And whereas the Board of Mayor and Aldermen desires to amend the schedule of fees for the Legacy Golf Course at the recommendation of Billy Casper Golf Management. Now therefore be it ordained by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen of Springfield, Tennessee as follows. Section 1. The schedule of fees for play at the Legacy Golf Course is hereby amended by rescinding Ordinance 12-12 in its entirety and substituting a new schedule of fees to read as set forth in Exhibit A attached. Section 2. This ordinance and the schedule of fees for the Legacy Golf Course as set forth in Exhibit A attached shall become effective on January 1, 2014. Section 3. All ordinances, resolutions, and policies in conflict herewith are hereby rescinded to the extent of the conflict only.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there a motion that this be acted upon?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Yes, a quick comment.
Go ahead, Mr.
I'm a
Carter.
Vietnam veteran combat soldier, so I appreciate the Wounded Warrior program.
Appreciate you too.
Let's get them all.
Paul?
Yes, I would like to take everybody through the exhibits real quick. If you look at 211A, I just press that exhibit, you'll see the weekday rates and the weekend rates. You also have those rates with the Advantage card, and Josh reviewed those. And also, you'll notice that you've got the active military rate in there. Also, the trail fees, you've got the Advantage card. It explains the 1 year you pay $25. You get discounted rates as shown above, 10% off merchandise in the shop, $1 off range buckets, and savings on course specials. The trail fees will remain the same. People who own their own carts, they won't rent a cart, but they'll be charged trail fee. And it's $10 for 18 holes and $6 for 9 holes. Then if we could, let's go to 211B, and these are all the memberships. You start with the 7-day pass at $1,800. Then you have the weekday member price at $1,200, all with a $200 discount as we go down. Senior weekday member at $1,000. They all pay, by the way, when they go to the course. They pay something now instead. So you're getting a discount if you're a city resident, but if you belong to these programs, you do pay money down, and there's a reason for this, to make sure that everybody's accounted for, everybody checks into the clubhouse. Also, there's a PDP. Josh, PDP stands for?
Player Development Program.
Okay, so that's $599.88. And then also you have available add-ons to the 7-day, and you've got unlimited range balls and 1 hour early PDP for $1 or $10 more a month. So I don't think those were covered in Josh's original presentation. And then the last item here, one thing we didn't cover, if you look at Exhibit 211C, we also have a high school fee program. And I think we need to talk about this. We found out that we had high schools other than Robertson County high schools running the course, so we'll have to develop some guidance on that. But anyway, we have a set fee schedule for high school play, which I thought was an excellent idea. And lastly, you have the existing 12.12 at 211D and the existing rates, and you can see the annual fees are rather cumbersome. So that's been rectified. So with that stated, I would recommend that the new fee schedule be approved.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any additional comment or questions?
I have some questions, please.
Ms. Knight?
Josh and Josh, you're both doing an excellent job. We asked you to kick it up, and you've done that, so kudos to y'all. Hear great things about what's going on, and the clubhouse looks great with the TVs. What are the trail fees now if you have your own cart?
The same, 10 and 6.
The same for $10? Okay. Okay. But if you have the membership, you'll have to go in the clubhouse and pay the $10, and that way everybody checks in.
That's, yeah.
Even with the annual?
Even with the annual passes, even if you have your own card, that player's fee is going to still be in effect.
Okay.
So the 18-hole trail fee is $10. The player's fee is $10, so it kind of groups them together, but it gets them to come in and check in with us, and that's been one of the problems we're facing, and we're hoping that,
And that's what we've talked about before, so, okay. And that's staying the same?
yeah.
Okay, that's mine. How are we also going to check for city residents? Are we going to property tax cards or?
Yeah, we talked about that, the website, that's probably what we'd have to use, type their address into the website to see if they're actually in the city limits of Springfield.
Yeah, because I can see somebody walking in the door and saying, I live in the city of Springfield, and they live 5 miles out with a Springfield address.
We'll do our part to make sure that it's back.
Yeah, they'll follow that through finance. We'll get it.
Okay.
Yeah.
What, Paul, kind of let me hang. High school, are you kind of referring to Springfield High School only?
Well, it's set rates for everybody, no matter who we decide to play out there. The only point I was making is, when we discussed this a few years ago, the understanding was only Robertson County high schools
That's what I was
were going to be
thinking.
playing
Right.
out there, and with a preference for Springfield High School.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we found out that other people lived out there were having their children's high school teams play out there as well. So that was not what this board had agreed to do several years ago. So whatever, no matter how many high schools we have, this fee establishes that fee. Who plays there is another issue that we can discuss on another agenda.
Well, I was wondering, do you want the CEO go with the original, because I remember the original is Robertson County Schools. I think we should kind of hold it to that.
Yeah,
Well, that's my recommendation.
and that's what we talked
Keep
about.
it, keep it
Did we not
Robertson
put that
County.
in there, Robertson County?
Well, it's really not necessary to state that. It's just that we enforce that. The fee is going to be the same fee for everybody, every high school.
Yeah, and our recommendation from Paul was Robertson County.
Thank you. We understand. Are there other questions?
Yes, what is that fee, sir? And how are you, is the fee for the match that they play on the matches?
There are fees for matches and for practice.
Okay. Who's going to pay that? The school? Do you know?
Yeah, it would be the school.
Golf team.
Yeah, the coach is going to have to be responsible for handling everything. No coming and going, players doing whatever they want, walking out there and going to the range.
I came into the course at the end of the golf season, just a couple weeks left, and pretty much day one, that's one thing I had to get under control, and I started asking the coaches, hey, you come and see us, we'll take care of your team, but no more of the 6 to 12 kids from your team all, coming to the shop trying to get a range bucket or things like that. It should be organized, the coach should come in and get those things for the kids. That's what they're getting paid for, so.
That's right, you don't want to intimidate those high rollers out there.
All right, other comments?
Hello?
We have a motion, I believe, and a second. Please call the roll.
Ellis.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Snyder.
Aye.
Carneal.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
That's 7-0.
All right, Resolution 1322 would authorize the distribution of longevity pay to all full-time employees of the city of Springfield. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Carneal.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Ellis.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Snyder.
Aye.
Ellis.
Did I just vote once?
Mason. Snyder. Ellis.
Yeah, yes.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Pass 7-0.
You sure we got 7 votes there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
She was missing.
Now, this next item, 213, is to discuss and possibly take action on a resolution 13-23. This approves the issuance of $41,334,000 of revenue bonds by the Health, Education, and Housing Facilities Board of Sevier County, Tennessee. And you're probably wondering why we're dealing with that, and you're going to get that answer in just a moment. And I'm going to ask the gentleman who is sitting right behind Sherry Reeves if he'll come forward and come to the podium and explain this matter for us, please, sir. We welcome you. And your name, please?
Okay, my name is Rob Mecklenburg. I'm from Peck, Schaefer, and Williams. Thank you for having me, Mr. Mayor, Board of Aldermen as well.
All right. Mr. Nutting, did you have something before you?
Just wanted to remind the board that when this originally went into your packet, the amount was $30 million, and it's been changed to $41,334,000.
Yes, and that was just a scrivener's error on our part. We had some more properties that were
Now,
added.
go ahead, sir, and explain why we're talking about this tonight.
Okay, I should say that my firm, Peck, Schaefer, and Williams, we are bond counsel on these revenue bonds that are being issued by the Health Educational Services Board of Sevier County. Those are going to be conduit bonds issued in the amount of $41,334,000. And what we're doing with that $41 million is we represent a developer who is going across the state. There's, I think, 25 different jurisdictions and rehabbing apartment complexes for low to moderate income individuals. The one that is in this jurisdiction is Country Place, which is at 2599 South Main Street. That's going to be receiving approximately $1.7 million in rehabilitations for 39 units. And we are here today because the way the financing mechanism works, and this is tax-exempt bonds and a combination of 4% low-income housing tax credits, which is where we're getting some of the equity on the project. So in order to get those types of favorable financing mechanisms, which allow for a lower interest rate to keep costs down on the whole, we have to comply with the Internal Revenue Code, specifically Section 147F, which says that each participating jurisdiction needs to hold a public hearing, which you guys so graciously hosted at the beginning of the meeting. That says, does anyone have any comment? Nobody had any comment. Therefore, the resolution that sits in front of you right now says that yes, this hearing was held. Everything went fine with that. And on top of that, this approval is solely for the purpose of Section 147F of the Internal Revenue Code. The city is not on the hook for any of these obligations, and this is just kind of one of those hoops that the tax folks in Washington have us jump through for this type of financing.
All right.
Are there any questions? I know it's not as exciting as golf.
Let's
but.
now get a motion to handle this.
So moved.
And a second. Now, do you have any questions of this attorney?
I appreciate the upkeep and the selections of tenants and the discipline out there.
Absolutely.
We've never heard any comments from three beautiful houses that's sort of in conjunction with that apartment complex.
Is there anything further before we vote? Vote your preference when your name is called.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Snyder. Carneal. Sneed. Head.
Yes.
Ellis.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Passed 7-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And just logistically, construction should start, we should close on a financing early 2014. Construction should start.
In the spring.
Yes, absolutely. And I'll keep you guys in the loop. Thank you.
Thank you very much. 2.14 is a resolution 13-24 authorizing the city to apply for a transportation enhancement grant administered by TDOT. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Paul?
Well, as you know, we started to construct a greenway, and it is not yet finished. So the state requires that every year we apply for funds for possible completion of that project. So every year we come before and get your authorization to apply. This is to apply only. Funding as it is right now, we're not real optimistic that it's going to be here for this. They may possibly be able to send some funds our way. And if they do, then we'll make a decision at that time whether we really want to accept that grant or not. But we are responsible for completing that project, so we do need to apply every year.
Okay, do we have a motion?
Yes, sir.
All right, and a second. Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Mason.
Aye.
Ellis.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Carneal.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Snyder.
Aye.
Passed 7-0.
Okay. And we move to the bottom of the page, 215. This covers Resolution 13-25, declaring the intent of the city to reimburse itself for certain expenditures related to public works projects with the proceeds of bonds or other debt obligations to be issued by the city in an approximate amount of $10 million. Is there a motion?
So move.
A second?
Second.
Paul?
Thank you, Mayor. We may want to hold off on actually voting on this item until we get to the task orders in administration 5, 6, and 7. The purpose of this resolution is simply stating that we're doing the task orders of which we haven't funded yet. So what we are planning to do to keep everything on track is to pay for any work in the interim before we have another bond issue to support this work, to pay for any work out of the depreciation funds of the water and sewer departments, and then to reimburse those departments when we sell the bonds in the first of the year. Basically just, paying them back so they're made whole. But in order to keep on schedule, we have to have some cash flow system going. So that is the purpose of doing this, and we're simply getting on record that we want those expenses that are paid out of depreciation to be reimbursed with the bonds. Now, $10 million, we don't know what the amount of the money is going to be, but that's just a placeholder. And the important thing is that legally, we've expressed our intent.
Well, I don't see why we can't go on and do that, period. It's expressing the intent, assuming we incur these debts.
Yeah, you can do that.
We don't incur the debt if we don't offer. So let's go on, and we've got a motion and a second on this. Any discussion? Please call the roll, Connie.
Snyder.
Aye.
Carneal.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Ellis.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Pass 7-0.
All right, we'll move now to the administrative portion of the agenda. 3.1 is already taken care of. Mr. Morgan's done his work, and we approved that a little earlier. 3.2, in the electric department, the monthly adjustment of retail electric rates due to the wholesale fuel cost adjustment by our friends some of the time at TVA. What's your word, Robert?
Slight increase, 2.4% for the month of December.
2.4 up, okay. All right, there's a motion. Is there a motion?
So move.
Second?
Second.
Discussion?
Oh, I don't see your citizen there, Mr. Gardner.
Please call the roll.
Head.
Yes.
Carneal.
Aye.
Snyder.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Ellis. Sneed.
Aye.
Pass 7-0.
All right, 3.3 is similarly the monthly adjustment of gas rates by Springfield Gas. Greg?
Just slightly, 0.24%.
Well, you showed Robert up this month. All right, is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Ellis.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Snyder.
Aye.
Carneal.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Pass 7-0.
Okay, 3.4 is a parade application by the Chamber of Commerce for the Christmas on the Square, the Christmas parade, the 5K runs, etc., which is this Saturday. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
You all ready for them, Chief? Got it ready, okay.
A lot of different people working on that, from the city manager all the way down, a lot of people working on that project.
Is he directing traffic that day?
I'm sure he'll be directing people who are directing.
Get him an orange vest.
Unfortunately, I'll be in an elf cap.
I hope the Times will cover that, Sherry.
Are you serious?
All right. We voted on the gas rates, and now we're ready for this. Do we have a motion?
Yes,
on
sir,
this?
we do.
All right. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Carneal.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Sneed.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Schneider.
Aye.
Ellis.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Pass 7-0.
All right. 3.5 is discuss and possibly take action on a customer's request for an additional water leak adjustment. Paul?
Thank you, Mayor. As you know, we've got policies for leak adjustments, which generally call for us being able to give a 25% taken off the bill with proof that the plumbing is done. Unfortunately, this is a little unusual circumstance, so we agreed to put it on the agenda. This gentleman is disabled. He's unable to really get out and check his property. He says that he just does not have the money to pay the bill. This is really an unusual circumstance. In most circumstances, we work out some sort of payment schedule for everyone. I think we've got a memo from Jane, we've got a memo from Roger, we've got a letter from the gentleman. So other than that, I don't really have a recommendation other than saying staff has, in the past, followed the policy to the letter. And in doing so, we have made agreements with people to pay over time. This gentleman, I believe, Ms. Murphy stated that there's no way, even with a payment schedule, that he can make that payment.
I've got a question about this. Is it just this 1 month that he was so excessive, this September bill? Is that what we're talking about?
It was the highest by far. He's had other high months, higher than normal. This was 196,000 gallons every month.
Now this his water line goes under a creek and it goes a distance to his house?
It crosses the creek somewhere. I presume it goes under.
He lives out in the county, as I understand it. And is it living in a trailer, I believe?
I don't know.
Pretty difficult situations, what it's been explained to me. But the problem is that we have other people who also have difficult circumstances. All right, you've seen the documentation of this. What's your pleasure?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
just looking at these very sad circumstances, it's only $590, I believe, that's sort of in discussion. I make a motion that we absorb that.
I second that motion.
All right. Any further discussion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Lee Masters, you said there were notices placed prior to this very unusually high bill. There had been some notices that this leak had been coming along.
He had some high water bills earlier this year. I don't know if that was a leak or not. I do know we had fixed one leak just inside the meter. It was on his property, but we went ahead and fixed that one. As far as what happened to the 196,000 gallons, apparently some of his neighbors came over and fixed it. I don't know that there were any notices. I presume that the meter reader would have given a notice. Some places they always do whenever there's a high reading like that.
So, I mean, that's right. I mean, the meter reader usually flags when they can see on their handheld, there's something wrong here. Isn't that true? There's something going on, and they're supposed to. They've always done that at my house.
And then they would have done that this time too. He wouldn't have known about the leak if he hadn't been told, unless he got through the bill of sale.
When they leave notes that there's a leak, is there a record having left that so that we can keep track in case they come back and say, I didn't know?
Jane, those meter readers are under Jane's jurisdiction.
Right.
Jane?
A note had been left. The reader realized that it was a huge reading that he was taking. He left a note. The customer indicated that he did not know anything about the leak until he had received the note from the meter reader. And at that point, he took steps to get the leak actually fixed. Now, there had been other leaks over the last many months going back that were apparently deemed to be an issue associated with something that was going on in the water department, because there were notes whereby we had actually fully adjusted those because we take those on. This was one that was on his side of the meter and was clearly the responsibility per our conditions of service of the customer.
What is the material? What is the water line's base material? Is it lead pipe?
I don't know what it is.
But I mean, the notice that you speak of having been left, is it just a notice the month that it happened, or was there something that leads up to it? Because, I mean, this sounds like just a complete break.
No, well, it was, I mean, the reading was, the time that they actually read the meter, that was when they realized it was high. We don't have any kind of automatic reading situation, so we only know it once a month. We take a look at it. So it had occurred within the period between the reads.
But when the meter reader leaves a note, is it ever recorded that there was a note left, so that if someone were to come here, they can't claim a lack of knowledge?
Yes, the meter reader makes a note in the handheld, and that is input. So we know we've left the note, and the customer acknowledged that the note had been left.
So it's only one note was left in the month that this high water bill is taking place that we're dealing with tonight.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not something.
But as soon as we knew it, we notified him.
Exactly.
Immediately. Okay. All right, we've got a motion on the floor. And a
How
second.
far is that a meter from this property, from the home? How far is a meter?
Just, I pulled it up and looked at it from a global standpoint. I'd say it's 400 or 500 feet. It's
Oh,
quite a ways from the meter to the house.
From the home, right?
This gentleman is just
He's
unable to
handicapped
get out.
and
Now, I think that it needs looking into further, so this gentleman could get some help of some type.
Which is true.
Beyond this. But Bruce, you had a
Yeah,
question.
do we know if he owns his own property, or is he?
I believe he owns the property.
And I believe he did get some assistance from Coke.
Cope paid $150 of it, but that's
Probably.
still $594 still owed. All right, then.
I'd like to make an amendment to the motion, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead, sir.
That we waiver 50% of this bill
594.
on the condition that he apparently maybe just shorten this up, on the condition that he has that line inspected and follow through on the recommendation of a qualified plumber. Because if he's having this many leaks, there's something wrong. It's either old rotten pipe, and this is going to happen again. So, my amendment to paraphrase, we waiver half of this bill on condition that he has a certified plumber look at it and follow that instruction.
Is there a second to Mr. Sneed's motion? That's for lack of a second. All right, we're ready for the motion as a whole to waive the remaining balance.
Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead, Mr. Hubbard.
Ms. Jane, could you, you have the customer's name and everything else?
I did.
Okay, could you probably send him a note to contact the Mid-Cumberland Community Action Agency in case he get in trouble again, because that's what we do, Mr. Mayor. We assist them, okay?
Okay. Now, everybody clear what we're voting on? Let's waive this bill. $594.04, I believe. All right, motion's on the floor. Been moved and seconded. Call the roll, please.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Snyder.
Aye.
Carneal.
Aye.
Sneed.
No.
Head.
Aye.
Ellis.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Passed 6-1.
I would request that we do follow up and be sure that he is getting some kind of assistance, because I agree with Mr. Sneed in that we need to try to get, it would be cheaper for somebody who wants to help him to pay a plumber to come out there and look at it and see if we can prevent this happening, because, my gosh, $190,000 gallons, we had water tanks that weren't that
I'm on the
big
board.
here.
I'm on the board of directors of Mid-Cumberland. That's why I recommend it, because they will look into that, okay?
All right. Now, 3.6 is to discuss and possibly take action on an agreement with the City of White House in regard to the reimbursement for their portion of the E911 dispatch expense. Mr. Nutty.
Thank you, Mayor. This basically states that they're going to stay with us, but I think the easiest way to state is we're not going to be using the formula between ourselves. We're going to wait and get everybody consolidated into one under the formula July 1st. So that simply, gives them a guarantee that they won't be charged for anything other than what their actual costs have been.
You recommend?
I do recommend it.
All right, is there a motion?
So move.
And a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion?
Paul, how does this, is this in line with our current budget?
Well, the budget, of course, because we didn't do it's in line with the newly amended budget, but because we didn't go into the formula, we went into the new year going under the formula, and then the county didn't want to do the formula this year.
This is the amount we need from White House to make our amended budget work.
Correct. Correct. Now, also one thing to remember, we are still working with White House together. We're working to achieve some savings because we've been able to do some different things with staffing. Certain times of the day, we don't need a full staff, and Elvis Wilson is going to be retiring. We won't need to fill that position because of the economies of scale and doing some other staffing. So we think we're still going to be able to save money being consolidated with White House, although we're not using a formula to do it. And then July 1st, hopefully everybody will be saving money as everything is run through the 911 center.
All right, we're ready now to, anything further on that issue?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Edwards.
we've talked about this. Paul each time talks about the formula beginning July 1. Or do we have, what assurance do we have that the county is going to use that formula?
Well, the 911 board has authorized retaining CTAS and MTAS to hire a director, and Chief Thompson sits on the 911 board, and I've had a lot of assurance from county officials, and I'm sure he has heard the same thing, that they're pretty committed to doing this.
They do seem to be, the mayor, county mayor appears to be committed to this. The sheriff has told us that he's committed to making this work and making this happen. I've talked to other county officials. We currently have the attorney for the 911 board, Clyde, is putting together an agreement right now, and the purpose of that agreement is to get everybody signed on to put those things in writing and have them signed and committed to. So they've made these commitments verbally. Now we're going to take that to the next level and get their signed signatures, votes, and things like that. So if everyone lives up to their verbal obligations and commitments, it looks like it's coming, it looks like it's going to happen. And we're working toward that right now with the contracts.
Thank you for that encouraging report. Anything further before we vote? Please call the roll.
Snyder.
Aye.
Carneal.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Ellis.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Pass 7-0.
All right, now, Paul, on this 3.7, 8, and 9, where we've got task orders 5, 6, and 7, is there a reason that we can't put these together to vote on?
I'll just, probably not. I thought just by reason of explanation, it was easier to have three items.
I understand that, but I'm going to accept a motion unless that you all see any complication. I would ask that is there someone who would like to make a motion to put this together? Well, let's just say this.
I'll do it, Mayor.
You know what I'm talking about.
Mayor, make a motion that we approve 3.7, 3.8, 3.9 as one, since it deals with the same issue.
Thank you, Mr. Steve. That's been seconded. That covers task orders for the record. Task orders 5, 6, and 7. Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Head.
Yes.
Carneal.
Aye.
Snyder.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Ellis.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Pass 7-0.
Thank you. Now, 3.10, discuss and possibly take action on the appointments, on these appointments to the Industrial Development Board. Mr. Ellis, you have a nominee.
From Ward 3, I'd like to recommend Gary House.
Thank you. From Ward 5, Mr. Head.
I would nominate Tom Onstadt.
Dr. Tom Onstadt's been I have talked to both these gentlemen today. I've told them they didn't have to campaign for the position, and they were greatly relieved. Is there a motion this be approved?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Please call the roll.
Ellis.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Snyder. Carneal.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Pass 7-0.
All right, now 3.11 on the next page is a possible appointment to the airport board. Who does that cover, please, or who's got that?
Well, one of our Springfield members, Tracy Langston, has resigned. His term has not expired. The suggestion of the airport board was to shift Mr. Chris Simpkins, and if you go to, let's go to that item here. Let me see. 311A, where we've got airport board members, you kind of take a look at that. They want to move Mr. Simpkins, who is a city-county resident, over into Mr. Langston's spot, and to appoint Mr. Chitty, who is very well qualified to be an airport board member, but who lives in the county, into the city-county spot vacated by Mr. Simpkins. The only problem with that is, although Mr. Simpkins owns property in the city, he is not a city resident, and that's what the ordinance calls for.
Can't do it.
And so, yeah, I mean, that's the way I look at it. I think certainly the city should, and the issue is too, even though you've got, you've got 2 county, 2 city, and 3 city county positions, all the city county positions are occupied by county people.
Yeah.
So the only person left on this city right now representing the city is Mr. Marvin Smith. And I believe Mr. Smith is an original member of the board. He's been serving all this time.
Well, we just need to come up with a city resident. This last time, Mr. Langston has moved out of the city. Of course, his business is in the city. But, all right, I don't see having to take any action on this then tonight.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
I called somebody I know who's a pilot. He I thought he lived in the city, used to, but he's living in the county now. I used to take pilot lessons years ago. We used to deal with this stuff. Is it something that has to be filled now? I mean,
No.
Just temporary. I could fill it temporary if it's possible. I wouldn't want it full time until we find somebody else.
I would just wait. It's not necessary. They've got a quorum.
Okay.
Okay. Without we would be fine otherwise, Clay, thank you.
Yeah.
Without objection, we're going to move on with that. 3.12, we took care of that earlier, so there's no action needed on any further action on the group health insurance plan. Just a moment. Now, the next item is 313, and that is to discuss and possibly take action on the creation of the construction department. The city manager memo on that. Mr. Sneed, I think this was discussed last time, and I was out that month, so do you want to make a statement about it? I think this was your proposal.
Yes, you looked up last month, but we got you now. Just simply, it's an idea to save money. Take the work, get a problem that we have fixed, and it's an attempt to save money.
All right.
I gave everybody a copy of a rough outline. It's nothing set in stone, but of course it could be amended. It's just a general 9-line items of how to start this. Of course, it'd have to take some staff meetings and so forth, but would be temporary through the construction season. If it looks like the weather permit, it could be extended if they're successful in their mission. And as most any construction company who does seasonal work, they rent their equipment, so they'll have brand new stuff to work with, or equipment that would be serviced by its supplier. I think it's worth a shot since we're dealing with the huge sum of money to do these repairs. This would be a drop in the bucket to give it a chance to try and renew it yearly if it works out.
All right, you making that in the form of a motion as proposed?
I'll make a motion that we adopt the 3.13 as proposed. Amendments can, of course, come later if it needs.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion at this point?
It just seems that this proposal, that there's, and I don't claim to know anything about construction, but that there's very little risk to the city, and potentially a lot to gain. I think we ought to look at it carefully.
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead, Mr. Toad.
I'm on the opposite end. I think it would create a sort of confused effort. I believe in following the course that we're already taking, that we've already outlined through Roger's supervision, and I just don't really feel, I just think this would kind of get in the way of what we already got in motion. That's my opinion.
All right, any further comment?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I see Mr. Hubbard is falling on the side of bureaucracy and rather than results. And I think Mr. Hubbard touts some of his credentials from time to time. I'll try to do that right now. I'm the only one on the board that's a general contractor and also a licensed plumber. And from the engineers who were touting the liner to do some of this work, when I asked the question how much this stuff cost, he said $100 a foot. Well, I've laid a lot of lateral lines to various pieces of property, and it never ran even close to this amount of money. And the liner, not a big fan of that.
First off, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Snead, I've been at this business for 20 years, okay? And we've done millions and millions of dollars of construction work, and I've been able to study, ask questions, follow. So I am not ignorant to the fact, okay? So,
All right, let's just try to focus on the matter at hand. Mr. Nutting.
I just have to correct him.
Well, first, the urgency of what we have to do is important. I mean, I understand what Mr. Snead is saying, but the fact is, this isn't going to help us much in the short term at all. I mean, you're going to have to train people to do certain things that they're not going to be able to do what the contractor does. Any department that's temporary, you're going to remove people from probably another crew. You're going to move it into here, then you're going to have to replace them. Then when this temporary department goes away, there's no place for the people in the temporary department to return to the city without firing the people that you hired to fill in there. So the thing is that really under any normal circumstance, the city really has no real need for a construction crew. I mean, we're a maintenance organization, and the most important thing that I think we need to keep in mind, you've got to create a maintenance crew under this AOC. So we're already looking at having to add 3 people already with the truck that we're buying, the $300,000 vacuum truck that we're buying right now. So, you know, with the rates having to go up, having to accommodate this sort of thing, I just, you know, and I think this is more of a budget issue anyway, more than just, well, let's just act on this at this time.
Well, this is saying to do this effective May, their work would begin May 1st of 2014 and end on October 30th of that year. So lacking a day, it's a 6-month proposal. I can see where there could be some complications. I mean, it's not saying that city employees have to be the ones that are hired, but they, you know, if it were people outside the city, then that would be one matter. If it's people with current jobs, it's going to pose a problem if they come back. So any way you look at it, I mean, we know that this sewer repair is our primary focus right now as far as capital outlay. And I want to ask you this, Paul, the crew that you would be putting to work year-round, would they be focusing exactly on this same thing that Mr. Sneed is proposing?
No.
Or just to, or tell me exactly what their duties would
What
be.
their duties are is we are required under law now to make sure that we inspect on a regular basis and clean our existing sewer mains, because you've got the dry weather flows, basically, I think is what this primarily addresses.
So ours is inspection and cleaning them out. Is that it?
Yes.
That's what you're
Yes.
proposing, that
We
we've got
are,
to do by law.
we are going to have to.
Ms. Sneed's is more of a construction crew.
Yeah,
All right.
construction and repair.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, I've got-
Mr. Ellis, I'm going to let you go next.
You want to go first?
Go ahead.
We're looking at the May 1st date, which talks about the beginning or the temporary maintenance crew. But I'm not opposed to the idea, but there are some things in here that I don't know the answer to, and I think they can be worked out. I don't know. It says vacant positions of departments who lose manpower will be reviewed on a case-by-case basis before advertised. I'm not, I'm not sure about the pay grade will be at full rate plus one additional rate above the current equipment operator pay. Jobs will be advertised as any other new or vacant position. All members of the group will be required to have ability to operate all equipment and expected to do so. We're going to create one supervisor and 3 employees. And the first question that I have, are they 3 new employees?
I'll try to answer the ideas I have behind this. If you
Go ahead now, Clay.
Well, part of the first question about the employees, if it's a lateral move from a city employee, Mr. Nutting said that he must not have read number 7 because this would be advertised on a case-by-case basis. Mr. Nutting talked about having to fire these people to move them back. I don't think that any department is going to fall apart if they have someone take a 6-month leave of absence, or if there is a vacancy in that department. We've operated departments before with vacancies. The economy is kind of slow. We've got almost all the number of people that we had back when subdivisions were being built, and a lot more was going on. And I just cannot see that. So the departments are going to fall apart. And Mr. Ellis, you had another question about what was the other part of it?
Was it the pay rates? Is that all
That is to, and the pay rate increase would be to entice qualified people to make that move over there, because we're going to expect these people to be working like as if they have a mission to work. It's not, I don't want to put so many people on the job site that, for lack of a better word, there's always this perception there's too many people leaning on shovels, but that's not the case. It's just sometimes the way it looks. I want to keep this group focused on their mission, which is to repair lines.
All right, let me ask you a question, Kate. Clay, I get what you're trying to go for, but I don't get why you wouldn't just, what you're trying to do, you're proposing a 6-month crew. Why wouldn't you just simply advertise for a crew, a contract type thing, for somebody to come forth and have the specifications of what you want repaired? if you're thinking this can be done in a more cost-effective way than what these engineers are proposing and what the things that we've been approving with these task forces, why wouldn't you just propose that would be the same kind of thing, using a lot of the criteria you've got, but not getting into this complication of pulling people away from their job? What do you gain if you, let's just say that you had 3 people out of water and wastewater, 4, that went to work in this crew? Why couldn't they go to work doing it while they're working on the payroll now?
Because Mr. Lee Master says that he can't do that. They're
but if you were to let them go into that, then you see what I'm saying? Why would you just contract it?
I don't, because the contractors are profit-based, where city employees are more, are not, their end goal is not to come away with as much profit as possible. And if you contract it, I just don't see, I mean, that would be the same thing. Why don't we contract the electric department? Why don't we contract the sewer department?
But you're saying just lease the equipment.
Why don't we contract every department if that's the case?
But this is a short-term thing. That's what I'm getting at. If it were year-round, it's
right.
not, but I have trouble
I'm hoping that we can get qualified people to move lateral to this, not fill those vacancies as we've done other times in departments. We don't fill vacancies. Mr. Paul, he talks about that, leaves things vacant, even in the fire department, which is your pet peeve about, or your pet department about wanting to keep those positions filled. But if we can leave those short, surely we can leave the sewer department and water department short one.
I think your goal is good. I'm just not sure that this is the method to accomplish it, but that's an opinion, and we're going to vote our preferences now unless there's further objection. You got an objection?
I've got
a question? Go ahead. Then.
I don't have any motion.
Yes, we did.
I'm very much interested in the 3 additional employees, and I know that probably wasn't the original intent, but that's what has been repeated here, that this is going to mean the water department, sewer department, whatever, going to get 3 employees between now and February, and then 3 more to operate this vacuum truck, whatever we're talking about. And that's if I hear that, that's 6. I was multiplying stuff. Could we take that, and I'm not trying to I just think to approve it just like it is, we're going to find ourselves in a bind with some things. Could Mr. Sneed and Paul, whomever else, sit down and see if they can come with some recommendations on each of these items next month? I don't know.
Well, he's not proposing that this start till May, so I think you've got a little time to do it. I think his goal is commendable. There are parts of this, and I'm not a contractor nor a plumber, so I'm not claiming knowledge in that area, but I still think there are parts of it that could work and parts that would not, in my judgment. I think as this is written, I couldn't approve it personally, but I think there's some merit to what he's proposing.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I agree. I've never created a city department, so I mean, this is pretty much just 9 line items to give y'all an idea of where I'm trying to go with it. Obviously, it requires more than one sheet of paper to do it, to create a department, but some kind of guideline for discussion tonight. The idea of what the statement Mr. Ellis talked about, having to create 6 new departments, he's worried about the budget. This sewer repair is going to cost tens of millions of dollars, as the engineers talked about over a period of time. I can hardly see how the salary and the lease of some equipment for 6 months would have any, it's minuscule, a drop in the bucket to the amount of money we're talking about paying the engineering firm what they described in their presentation.
But you have engineers hired who have a plan that they have.
We're gonna follow that. They've identified the problem. That's
And
what
they are
they've done.
fixing, they are bringing up, like these task
The
forces.
more complicated things right now.
But how do you separate what's the more complicated from what you're proposing
They're,
this?
they're being coordinated through Mr. Lee Masters. Do you not coordinate the engineers?
Well,
They're
I
not
kind of
just out
think.
there Wild West.
Well, we'll settle this. All right, let's, this is gonna require some more thought. Somebody we have a motion and a second. We've discussed it. There's a further discussion before you vote.
I want to amend the motion.
Go ahead.
My amendment would be that we ask the city manager and the water and wastewater director to come back to us with plans to form a construction department under the water and wastewater department to accomplish these goals. And we'll let the managers tell us how that can be done.
Well, are you proposing that all of this be done as it is now?
I am not. I'm proposing none of that be done. That it be brought back to us with, that we just, it's our
Okay.
desire.
Well, I'll withdraw the motion and if you withdraw your second, move the deferral. I'll put this on the agenda next. I'll change my motion to defer line item, whatever it is. Let's see what it is, pull this thing up. I move to defer line item 3.13 till next month. Mr. Nutting, Mr. Lee Mash, y'all get together and get a report for next month.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
And you all have withdrawn your original motion, or you're just moving to defer?
I'm moving to defer because if I withdraw completely, it'd have to, take 2 or 3 months or something before you can bring it back.
Okay. Motion is to defer. Got a second? Any comment? Motion is to defer it to next month, as outlined. Call roll.
Snyder.
Aye.
Carneal.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Ellis.
Aye.
Mason.
I guess.
Is that an aye?
7-0.
Whatever.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to make a statement that Mr. Heads asked someone who's trying to shoot this down to come back with a proposal, so it's not going to be without some, an asterisk there when we get it, I think.
All right, now, 3.14 is to discuss and possibly take action on a proposal for the Board of Mayor and Alderman members to substitute teach in the city school. Well, I'm going out on Thursday at Springfield High. I don't know what you're calling it, but I'm not on the payroll. What is the purpose of this?
Well, Mr. Mayor, I wasn't at the Realize Ross County meeting the other day. I did hear about the meeting, its topics, and it's almost a broken record. I keep hearing the same thing coming up over and over and over again from members on this board who are not. I guess we got a lot of complaints, but we don't actually get into it. The best way I can, there's examples. There's a few people in Congress who are veterans, but they can be chicken hawks, or they have relatives, sons, daughters that's in the military. If you're going to talk about a problem or complain about a problem, I think you need to involve yourself a little more than sit behind this horseshoe and talk about it. I've been a substitute teacher. There's several people here who are in the school system. You'll have a deeper understanding of the issues and the rumors if you inject yourself into the system and experience it firsthand. There's a lot to be gained from that. Just like people who, I think there should be a draft almost. Everybody should serve in the military, but if you're going to be complaining about the school system, you need to get your feet wet with it for a little while. But the problem is the requirements for being a substitute. It used to be fairly easy. It's a very complicated process now compared to what it used to be. And I don't think I saw the requirements and the fees and things that's required to do it. Part of the proposal is if the school board, who we've bashed so much lately and over the years, if they would, if it's even legally possible to fast track anybody on this board who wants to do this, could give us a fast track to get past the background checks, the fees, it's a lot to it.
I think there's an age limit on it.
Age limit? Really?
Mr. Smith.
Some of us are already going in.
With not being finished, I think county commissioners could do the same if they're not already doing it.
But just a minute, let me see, I understand. Are you saying you are requiring?
No, I'm just making it's just something to talk about on the agenda.
It's a noble thing to propose, but I think simple encouragement would be one thing. I had a discussion with Mr. Davis, our new schools director, this morning, and I have a great deal of confidence in his sincerity and his ability to work on these problems. And as he says, we have a big job to do, and he's competent. Now, if we want to go present ourselves as a substitute, I'm sure he would try to work that out. I don't see the need. That's their decision, not ours.
That's right. So, I mean, we've voted on things for acclamations, or maybe I'm not thinking the right word, but we've done things that there's not really action taken, but affirmation about different things. And I'd like to see if the board would vote to ask to have Paul Nutting get with the school board about if they could fast track us.
Well, just volunteering. A lot of things, anywhere where you have exposure to school.
To see who.
Why are you doing
I'm
it?
trying to encourage and challenge and the people on this board to do some of the things that, Mr. Mason, you're involved in the school system. There's Mr. Hubbard, you've been involved, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Ellis, and I. There's a few who haven't, but, and if y'all are not involved with it now.
We've adopted a teacher since it's been going on, the program at Springfield Middle, and part of that program is to go into the classroom, and we pick Thursday, and we go in every Thursday, and they encourage you to actually sit in and teach a class. So
they're interested in that type of thing
Yes.
being done. All you got to do is go tell them.
They'll be happy to have you.
They'll work you out.
Well,
right
the
away.
reason I put it on there, I'm just tired of hearing everybody complain about nobody's actually in the schools.
But we are doing
Firsthand
it.
experience.
Well, it is going
based-
on,
but
you
to
just
base their
didn't know it.
complaints.
Yeah, it is going on.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Mr. Hubbard.
Yeah, this mouth ran off a lot, Mr. Slade, but you got to understand that I'm degreed in the areas of education and psychology. So every complaint I made about the failing school system, I got a 30-year knowledge of what I'm talking about. Okay? So, yes, I had a right to say it. Okay, because I know I know the causes that's causing these children to fail. The neglect from the school board. So,
Well, it's not.
I understand what I'm talking about. So, I just want to clip the fact you said talking and don't know the issue. Yes, a lot of us know the issue because we've been in this stuff for so long, and we knew the failures. So there were no false indictments without having the facts and the knowledge of educating a child. It came from two of the biggest mouths, for sure, me and the mayor. I'll just shut up on that one.
I'm going to just let that pass.
Just go mouth.
All right.
Not bad,
Now
dog.
let's go to the consent docket, please.
Move for approval.
Second,
Second.
I didn't hear who made the motion.
Mr. Ellis made the motion.
Okay,
Ms. Snyder seconded.
yes.
Please call the roll.
Ellis.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Snyder.
Aye.
Carneal.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Pass 7-0.
All right, now, Mr. City Manager.
Well, I only have one.
Brief report.
Well, thank you, Mayor. It is brief. I only have one item. Sewer system rehabilitation work has been ongoing in the Circle Drive Basin since early September, and the first 2 months of the contract were dedicated to cleaning the lines. During the month of November, the construction crews have begun making the repairs to damaged sewer mains. A total of 6,857 linear feet of main have been repaired using the cured-in-place liner. The contract calls for repair of over 31,000 linear feet of pipe under this contract. Also, bids will be opened on the second basin repair contract in early December, and the board will be awarding the bid at the December meeting.
Thank you very much. Is there anything further?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Ellis?
Go ahead, Mr.
No, Mr. Ellis, you.
Mine's gonna be
seniors-
short.
seniors first.
We approved rezoning some property, out whether about an acre, out there on Ruth Street. Didn't we do that? I know we voted on a couple of
Yes,
times.
the condos behind Daly's Market there. Mr. Joe Henry Moore.
One of the things that came out of this meeting the other night is, and it just, is that they're not sure now they can get sewer. Now, does anybody have an answer for that?
Yes. As you know, that the state will not allow us to add any connections to places where the sewer line is damaged. The issue with Mr. Moore was that initially, when this started the rezoning, we thought he's right on the breaking line between two basins. The original mapping had him on a good piece of the sewer system that goes 431. As we explored that more, we realized that that was a mistake, that he's actually in the Circle Drive basin. So the good news is those lines are being repaired. He can't do anything in the wintertime anyway to construct anything. And the fact is, if he wants to go with another project other than condos, he's got 2 readings on an ordinance. So if he still wants to stay with condos, he can come back. We'll only take 1 more reading, and that's approved. If he has a change of heart and wants to keep it the way it is, we don't have to take any action. So he's in good position one way or the other. It would have been nice if he'd been in another portion of the system and it was an honest mistake when they were mapping the system. But it is what it is, and it's being repaired, and that's the important thing.
And so, by construction time in the spring or late spring, you believe that he could be hooked on? Is that what
Oh,
you're saying?
if it's repaired, we've already told, for example, one party out there, I've put it in writing, that we have every reason to believe that new connections will not be a problem. But this initial contract goes until at least May, right?
Well, let's be sure on those, because we just don't want any more of that. Well, they said one thing, but the reality was something else. And I know honest mistakes are going to happen, and I understand that. But let's be sure because we want to make sure that for the next, throughout the course of this project, in the ensuing months, we need to, about every 2 to 3 months, be sure to give these contractors and all an update saying where progress has been made, where we can build, where we cannot, and all that kind of thing, and let's keep them abreast. All right.
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Sneed?
Got one thing. Mr. Nutting, next month I'd like to put on the agenda, and I'll discuss what we want to do. Getting tax time. Our tax cards, when we get our tax bills for property, it shows a lump sum at the bottom with some other general information about your property. I own property in some other counties, and especially in Metro Nashville, it breaks down what your taxes are going for. It will tell you a certain percentage goes to this project, a certain percentage that. I'd like to see if we can't inform our citizens who are paying the bills through their property taxes what it's going for, and break those tax cards down. Like so much for fire, so much for police, so much for education, so much for streets. I think it's something that can be done. It's just a matter of clerical, changing maybe the program on what prints the cards. And I think that's something that can be done fairly easy and inform the citizens what they're getting with their money. And then when we make adjustments, we can do that from that department. We can change those percentages from that department rather than it being all piled into a general fund. It's just one big checkbook almost for a lot of different departments.
That can be added to the agenda to discuss. The regular meeting will be on the 17th of December, and Mr. Nutting promises me this next one is going, because we're going to have employee awards to give out, that type of thing. So that always takes some time, and we're so glad to be able to do that. But we won't have a whole as many things as we've had tonight, so we ought to get out in time for Christmas. Yes.
Briefly, the NLC national meeting in Seattle, Washington, the theme was Learn, Lead, and Connect. A lot of valuable information. All cities come together to make the agenda for the national leadership. So it was constructive. I'll cut it short.
Thank you. Anything further? Happy Thanksgiving.